Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I was thinking to myself the other day, and I like to challenge my own thought processes and the realities that we know. And I'd like to propose the same idea to you. So, what is it? Well, I'd like you for a moment, if you will, to imagine that everything that we go through, realities, television, the left and right of politics, social media, scripts, schooling, all of it. Yes, we experienced it, we lived it, we've seen some of it. But I'd like you for a moment to imagine that none of it was real. None of it is real, but a creation. Similar to our souls being inputted into an avatar like the movie. So imagine, if you will, that the existence that we see, the shopping centers, the cars, the traffic, the jobs, the food, everything that we know to be real isn't. Where does your heart go when you are to do that? Can you do that? Does the mind go, this cannot be, I just had breakfast, I experienced it, I ate it, I was real. And this is the identity of it. I'm asking as a hypothetical to imagine that none of it was real, or none of it is real. And I want you to identify the feeling of the heart within it. What would it mean if it wasn't? What would life exist to be? What would it mean to you if it was all just an illusion, all just a dream? Would you react angrily? Or would you find peace? Would you find meaning when there wasn't one, or isn't? You see, I like to believe sometimes that we are not from Earth. That we are from outer galaxies. And whether we have been tricked or misplaced, whether we are outcasts from another society of galactic terms who are here to learn the finer art of living or punishment, whether it is to be initiated into a higher sense of God or angelic beings, to weasel out those who will do harm to others. So let's say, for example, we are here on Earth. We go through life's experiences. We're caught in a trap. The cycle of eat, work, sleep, repeat. But it is for us to identify the areas of our lives that allow us to break free from that, to remove ourselves from the revolving door of reality. And what if it was a trial, an initiation to identify whether you can handle wealth, whether you can handle the possibilities of being good for others without the need of greed or being better? To identify those types of characteristics in people, so that when you are in a position of leadership or faith or governance or whatever it might be to humanity, the right people are there. What if Lemuria and ancient Acropolis and all these types of things and all of these mystery schools were the same? But yet greed and misplaced adventures were taking control and they were wiped out. A new idea was created, a new reality was created. What if the people who are in charge are not actually in charge at all, but that is a part of the lie? To see how long it takes for people to break free from it. But you say, but what about all the atrocities that happen in the world? Well, yes. Because that is what people are creating. But it's not real. But it's fascinating how the mind works in bringing you back to a sense of being poor or a sense of anger or problems. Because that's what it does. That's what the rational linear mind keeps trying to do, to bring you back to these what-if statements, to these fear-based controls and mentalities. But if a young child walks up to you and makes you smile, it's beautiful. You sense love within a child's happiness. And you wish the best for everyone and the families and people who are growing, and you want to see success. There is no need for anger or hatred or nastiness in the world. But it's fascinating that whether it's down to wealth, power, control, manipulation, greed, all of the problems in the world, it will always lead back to that. Something to do with a problem. Because at the core of it, a lot of people are living their life because of those problems, or hatred against the system, or their parents, or their family, or life, and whatever it might be. But I asked you, what would it be like if it wasn't real? Where does your heart lead you, or does your mind take over? That is the question I propose. Because if your mind is the one that is leading you, then you haven't answered my question. It has shown you that your heart gives way to a mental prison. And the initiation, therefore, continues. And what if we are just being initiated into becoming the light beings and the bearers and the keepers and the groundsmen and the gardeners and all of those who need to keep Mother Nature alive? Because the balance of power will shift, but why give it and continue to those who are not ready? It'll just end up the same over and over again. We continuously see the same sides of the coin, whether it's left or right, up or down. It will always end the same. Someone will be in power. Someone who is fighting a good fight will be corrupted. It always happens. And that's why I wanted to highlight something about what if it isn't real? Where do we go? Where does the mind take you? Where does your heart take you? Or do you just think I'm talking in circles? Perhaps. But how many of your lives have repeated themselves over and over again until we realize the lesson that needs to be taught? And what if that's just it? We're here to learn those things, to become better versions of humanity, to grow in the grand scheme of things. What if it isn't about trying to find all the answers to whether the earth is flat or round, whether we are a simulation or just a creative thought? Maybe we're all stuck in the Hadron Collider. What if that's not the problem? What if that's not the answer, but that is the system itself, that the creation that has been created is the system? And it's about removing yourself from that. Freeing yourself from that thought pattern. To think about other things in unison with other people. We have a lot of good-hearted, natured people who comment on certain videos and have the right idea, but yet they are so headstrong in their own beliefs that they themselves become egotistical for the right reasons, but are harboring so much hate. I think I wrote there that a seed planted with anger will only bloom a tree full of hate and anger itself. Because it is. You can't plant a forest being angry, because then all you have is contempt, and I think it's contempt, and disappointed. It won't bloom, it won't flourish, and even if it does, it's not purposeful. My analogies suck, yes, but the point being, you have to grow outside of the system. You have to think new ways of becoming the new program. Or maybe not. Maybe what I believe is inaccurate, is false. Maybe we are not here from something else. Maybe we are skeletons. Maybe we are old-fashioned and ancient. Or maybe we are stories in a book that someone is reading in a different realm. Maybe it is written and everyone has their own pages, their chapters. I don't know. But I believe that when you're open to that creative idea, you don't fixate on something must be right and something must be wrong. You just exist. You don't remove the problem, you dissolve it, you transmute it, and grow beautiful flowers for the bees. So it is with that, I'll leave you with peace and love. Take care.